All right, guys, the GHD. Now, historically, this is used to develop the glutes and the hands. But for some reason, somebody somewhere said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did an ab exercise on this thing? I'm going to preface this saying I'm not a huge fan of GHD sit-ups. I don't really think they belong in general population fitness. But if you do want to amp it up and really challenge your midline and core stability, then this is another opportunity to maybe take it to the next level. But if you've never done this before and you have no inkling as to why you would want to do that, don't worry, just don't. But for those of you that do, okay, it's important that you understand the mechanics of how to actually do this well without destroying your lower back. This is going to predispose you to a lot of loaded spinal extension. So if you have things like facet joint arthropathy, big fancy terms, stenosis, anything like that, this is probably not a good thing for you to venture into unless you have really good control, all right? Now, let's go over this real quick. I'm going to preface this saying that this GHD sit-up is actually a quad dominant exercise. The core and the abs, they're actually secondary when we think about how to produce this very, very well. This is not even a strength piece. You can turn this into a strength piece, but when it's done well, it's actually an explosive, very violent extension of the knees. So this should be an explosive motion as opposed to very slow and controlled strength piece. So here's what this is going to look like. All right, so as we get into this, all right, I want to make sure that my knees are bent because a lot of the initial motion from the sit-up itself is going to come from very aggressive and violent knee extension. That's my first piece. That's what I want, all right? So as I'm coming down, I'm keeping my knees bent, but everything here is still tight, still tight, still tight, still tight, still tight. My knees are still bent. My first thing I want to do is I want to fire my quads. Watch what happens when I just fire my quads. Again, I'm just going to extend my knees. So that's that initial umph. And then I finish with my abs. Looks like this. So it's violent on the way up. It's controlled on the way down. So my quads and my core, my belly, my hip flexors, not just my psoas, my hip flexors still have to be tight so I can control my descent. I'm going to tap the bottom. And then once I'm down to here, my quads fire and it launches me up. So if we do this well, our quads are going to be shredded first and then our abdominal cavity. So instead of doing it very, very slow, almost like a strength piece where we're here and we're really trying to ab it up, you're going to smoke out your abdominal cavity. And if you don't have the proper capacity or resiliency there, then our loaded spinal extension is a hard no, and I really don't want that. So if that's what you're doing, I would recommend you avoid the GHD sit-up until you meet the preliminary requirements to earn the right to do this. And even then, do you need to do this? No, not for a sit-up. For an extension, absolutely. Super beneficial and actually quite safe. But for a sit-up, I really don't think there's any reason for general population to do it. But that's up to you. Enjoy this one, guys.